گرد همایی بزرگ 18 ژوئن، پیروزی عدالت، حفاظت از اشراف. پاریس 28 خرداد 1390. سخنرانی‌های شخصیت‌های برجسته سیاسی از کشورهای مختلف جهان.
All of you who are in this hall, all of those who are in Camp Ashraf, and all of those who celebrate the opportunity for democracy in Iran, I say greetings and thank you very, very much. This gathering is empowering to the people who pray and want to bring democracy to Iran. It is also a great reflection of support for the people of the MEK. It is truly time for the people all over the world who care about democracy to stand with the Iranian people and the MEK in the struggle for democracy. My country, the USA, was founded respecting inalienable rights. You have those same rights. My country, the USA, is a secular country with a lot of faith. I practice my faith. I respect your faith. And I know that you want to practice your faith in a secular country called Iran. My country respects free speech. I am proud to speak for democracy in Iran. My country respects free association. I am proud to associate with the MEK and with all of you. My country allows you to participate by petitioning the government to address your grievances. Your people It is time to act. Delist the MEK, reflect the democracy that the MEK practices and that they want to bring to the people all over Iran. Regarding the people in Camp Ashraf, whom I have addressed before, the United States promised to protect you. We kept that promise, but when the reins of power were given to the people of Iraq, their leaders did not keep our word, and I am embarrassed, and I'm ashamed. I want the people of Camp Ashraf protected, consistent with the promise that America made. It is time for the Iraqi government to respect the word that was given by America and to protect the people of Camp Ashraf. And the Iraqi government has got to stop the harassment of the MEK. Finally, the relocation of the people who are in Camp Ashraf is terribly important. but that relocation should not be in Iraq. In the meantime, the United Nations should set up a permanent monitoring team in Iraq to pay attention to what happens at Camp Ashraf. It was an outrage to do what was done on April 8th, 2011. It was an outrage to deny delegations from Europe and from the United States Congress to be able to go to Camp Ashraf to learn for themselves what had happened. We need an inquiry by the United States Congress, and we need that inquiry to be done quickly. The people of Iran are waiting for democracy, and the people of the MEK are the voice to make it happen. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very, very much. First of all, let me express my deep appreciation and admiration for being given multiple opportunities to stand with you, to stand beside you, to work with you, to see that democracy ultimately prevails in Iran and that the people at Camp Ashraf are released to freedom, they're protected, they're provided a safe haven, so that at some point in time in the near future, the voices here that we are listening to here can be heard in the streets and the communities throughout Iran. It's an extraordinary honor for me and a great privilege for my colleagues from the United States to have the opportunity on several occasions to work with an individual that we believe clearly is one of the most inspirational, great leaders of the 21st century. Viva Maryam! One of these days, hopefully in the not-too-distant future, we'll be able to welcome you to the United States of America, representing the democratic aspirations of the people of Iran. I would like my fellow citizens to compare your vision for the people of the great country of Iran, with its great history and its great culture, with the distorted vision of Ahmadinejad and the radical mullahs. I'm quite confident that if Americans heard your vision, they would raise their voices in loud and sustained support for Maryam Rajavi and the democratic opposition in Iran. There was a famous British statesman who once said, "All that is necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." As I look at this assembled crowd, it's quite obviously that there are quite a few good men and women and boys and girls in support of the residents of Camp Ashraf, in support of the democratic opposition within Iran, to ensure that the evil that exists in Iran today comes to an end sooner rather than later. I must say, ladies and gentlemen, that Camp Ashraf and those 3,400 men and women are very much your inspiration. But as I look at this assembled crowd, I must say to you, I believe you are their hope. I commend and congratulate you for convening at this session today. Every single day that I had the privilege of serving in public office in Washington, D.C., just about every day, and I worked with my colleague, Andrew Card, the preceding speaker, we would get a list of threats against the United States. And I must tell you, during that entire period of time, as we looked at threats and we looked at terrorist organizations, those individuals or those groups that were threatening the security, the safety of the United States of America, never once, not once, never, ever, ever did MEK appear on the list as being a threat to the United States of America. They are not a terrorist organization. For centuries, people have yearned for freedom. It is my personal belief that around the globe, the aspiration within every heart and every mind of people everywhere is to be free, to speak their mind, to practice their religion, to choose their own leaders, to be tolerant of one another, and live in a civilized and respectful way. That is the vision of Maryam Rajavi. That is the vision of the Iranian democratic opposition. That is the vision of the men and women in Camp Ashraf. A couple of words to the incumbent government of Iraq, if I might. I say to the Iraqi government, particularly al-Maliki, we've spent nearly $1 trillion. There have been over 4,000 men and women that have been killed, 30-some thousand wounded. Al-Maliki, we made a commitment to the people of Camp Ashraf. You promised you would sustain that commitment under the Fourth Geneva Convention. You have failed to do so. It's about time you kept your word so we can keep ours. And finally, I say with great respect to the men and women that are leading my country, my president, my Secretary of State, honorable, decent people, as previous speakers have alluded to, intelligent people, people committed to doing the right thing. Facts are stubborn things. Diplomacy hasn't worked against Iran. Negotiations haven't worked against Iran. And the number one enemy to the existing government in Iran is the MEK as leader of many opposition democratic forces. And it is in our best interest to support the delisting. It continues to be a great honor and privilege to work with you, to work with the Democratic opposition. May we continue to work. May our voices be sustained. May we raise the decibel level, not only in France, but in the United States and around the world. No matter what Ahmadinejad and the radical mullahs do, we need to be stronger and louder every single day. I applaud you. I applaud your commitment to this cause. It's easy to be friends of those supporting a just cause, and the cause is just, but it is simple. Delist the MEK, provide them safe haven, and let's assemble soon in Tehran and rejoice for the implosion of democracy throughout the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I want to begin by thanking all of you who are here this afternoon to focus the attention of the world where it should be focused, and that is on bringing democracy to Iran. My mission as an American has two parts. One sounds easier than focusing world attention, and that is to get my government to accept and act on the simple fact that one direct way to help bring democracy to Iran is to stop obstructing the MEK with the unjust designation of foreign terrorist organization. And the second task, which is closely related, is also directed at my government, and that is to get the United States to use the considerable influence that it has with the Maliki government and the considerable leverage that it has to stop the harassment of Ashraf, protect its residents, and if they are to be resettled, to do so outside Iraq, not within it. The first of those tasks should be simple. After all, it's not a step that requires a great investment of wealth or that places our armed forces at risk. It involves simply having the moral courage to admit that a past policy pursued over several administrations, Democrat and Republican, has outlived its usefulness, and that is the mistaken policy of continuing to list the MEK as a foreign terrorist organization. Today, and for years before today, MEK, under the leadership of brave Madam Rajavi, stands explicitly for a democratic, non-nuclear, secular republic in Iran. The MEK members who live in Ashraf have given up the weapons that they could have used to defend themselves and put their welfare in the hands of coalition forces after the 2003 invasion of Iraq. They accepted the solemn assurance of the coalition, and specifically of American generals, that they would be treated as protected persons under international law. And so, in addition to accepting the word of our military that the residents of Ashraf would be protected, the MEK went to our courts to undo the unjust designation by resorting to the law. And so in July 2010, the MEK won a ruling from the Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit that the Secretary of State must reconsider the designation of MEK as a foreign terrorist organization because the information she was relying on was not sufficient. And where do we stand today? Well, this brings me to my second task, because in Ashraf, the organization that surrendered its arms and placed itself under international protection in 2003, to the point where residents of Ashraf each received a registration card designating her or him as a protected person, have been attacked twice by Iraqi troops, once in July 2009, once in April 2011, and both times when the Secretary of Defense of the United States was present in Iraq, the last time resulting in the murder of more than 35 defenseless women and men using weapons and vehicles that were supplied by the United States and were operated by troops trained by the United States, and the United States has done nothing about it. And what about the listing of MEK, which the Secretary of State was ordered in July 2010 to reconsider? Well, almost a year later, that review has not yet been completed, and the State Department has offered no estimate of when it might be completed. The State Department seems to be engaged in a strategy of endless delay. If this strategy somehow comes from the hope that somehow democracy can be achieved gradually under the regime now in power, that hope should long ago have been abandoned. I think that trying to achieve democracy gradually in Iran under the current regime is like trying to go gradually from driving on the left to driving on the right. The only thing you can guarantee by doing that is that people will be killed, and indeed people have been killed. This is not a time for supporting half measures. There is one organization and one alone that stands for immediate democratic change in Iran, and that is MEK. The only way to enable MEK to function is to remove it from the list of foreign terrorist organizations, because that listing also gives both Iran and Iraq the perfect excuse to mistreat residents of Ashraf. If that listing were removed, not only would there be no further excuse provided by the United States for Iran and Iraq to mistreat MEK members, but also MEK could rally the support of the American people. For example, we could allow the American people to see and hear Mrs. Rajavi, whose eloquence and dignity give her a star power that puts hope in your hearts and fear in the hearts of the mullahs. That power could be unleashed to do a world of good. A great president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, called my country the last best hope of earth. And I think it's possible that those words may be even truer today than they were when he spoke them in the middle of the 19th century. But they can be true only if the United States not only is a great power, but acts like one. What I am asking my government, in short, is to stop acting based on its fears and start acting based on its hopes and ideals, by allowing Iranians who want freedom for their country to act on those hopes and ideals as well. Thank you very much for your attention. And every good wish to you in pursuit of your cause, which is the cause of free people the world over. Thank you very much.
Salam alaikum wa rahmatullah. Je vous salue. j'ai deux choses à vous communiquer. La première, une déclaration importante qui émane du Conseil national des tribus. Les chefs de 3899 tribus ont fait une déclaration. Je ne vais pas la lire, vous la trouverez sur Internet, mais je vous donne le résumé. Les chefs de ces tribus dénoncent avec force les atrocités commises à Ashraf contre les Ashrafiens. Deuxièmement, ils en appellent à la communauté internationale, notamment au Conseil de sécurité de l'ONU, au Haut Commissariat de la défense des droits de l'homme, ainsi qu'aux États-Unis d'Amérique, pour assurer absolument la protection des habitants d'Ashraf. Ça, c'était le résumé. Un dernier mot. C'est la 8e fois que nous nous retrouvons ensemble, venant de tous les coins du monde, de l'Europe et des États-Unis d'Amérique, pour commémorer une offense grave qui a été commise contre le peuple iranien à travers la rafle scélérate qui a été conduite. Mais à un moment où l'image de la France a repris l'image que nous aimons, c'est-à-dire la reconnaissance du caractère de résistance nationale de un pays. Et enfin, que dire à ces bâtisseurs de la cité d'Ashraf qui ont construit un joyau qui préfigure ce que seront demain les cités iraniennes. Les Ashrafiens et les Ashrafiennes, que dire à ces gens qui défient les mains nues, les blindés, les mitrailleuses et les armes lourdes. Je ne peux pas trouver les mots pour leur exprimer ce que je ressens. Je me contenterai de dire, Ashrafiens, Ashrafiennes, vous sauvez l'honneur de l'humanité.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآل بيته الطيبين. الأصدقاء الأحرار من كافة بقاع العالم، من آمنتم بقضية مجاهدي خلق السيدة مريم رجوي سيدة الشرق وعنوان فخارها، أيها الأخوة والأخوات، أبدأ. أخي، لقد جاوز الظالمون المدى فحق الجهاد وحق الفداء. أخي، لقد جاوز الظالمون المدى فحق الجهاد وحق الفداء. نلتقي اليوم وأمامنا لوحة الشرف التي رسمت بدماء شهداء أشرف، ولوحة العار التي حدد معالمها الملالي وأتباعهم في العراق الذي ما عاد عراق المجد والكرامة، ولكنه عائداً بإذن الله بفضل المقاومة العراقية التي ستعيد للعراق مجده وستعيد لأشرف حضورها. تفوح نسائم النجيع الطاهر من الأولى، وتسكم أنوفنا روائح الخيانة والدناءة من فعال المالكي وزبانيته الملالي في بغداد. نلتقي ولا زالت جثامين الشهداء طرية ندية معطرة بعبير الصمود والفداء، وجراح ما زالت نازفة دون أن تمتد لها يد مواسي، أو طبيب يضمد جرحا، وأنات من خرجت أرواحهم من أجسادهم دون أن يجدوا عناية طبية ليلاقوا حتفهم، دون رقة قلب أو رجفة عين أو همسة من ضمير. نلتقي واليتامى والأرامل والشيب والشباب تردد في مسامعنا صرخاتهم واستغاثاتهم: الله أكبر، الله أكبر، الله أكبر، الله أكبر. الله أكبر عليهم وعلى حقدهم. تدوي استغاثاتهم في جنبات الأرض ويسمعها محبو السلام والإنسانية، فيتنادون للقاء النصرة في حين صمت آذان آخرين عن سماع صراخهم، وهم يستنجدون بالضمير الإنساني وبالهمة العالمية لنجدتهم من مرتزقة أتوا على ظهر دبابة أمريكية سيئة الصنع. نعم، مرتزقة. فالجند العراقي العروبي الذي دافع عن فلسطين وروى بدمه الطهور أرضها لن يكون جزاراً في يد المالك وأولياء نعمته الملالية، ويغزو أشرف بأشرس ما يكون الغزو. قتلت دون هواد أو رادع من ضمير، مارست حقدها الأسود معتقدة بأنها سوف تدخل الخوف والفزع إلى قلوب الصامدين، لكن كيدهم رد إلى نحورهم. فها هي صبا الجميلة، صبا الرائعة، حبيبة الله، صبا الشهيدة، قهرتهم وهي حية، وهي تلقط بعين كاميرتها سوء صنيعهم وتوثق كل جرائمهم لتكون شاهداً وفاضحاً لأفعالهم الجبانة، والتي تنم عن عدم رجولتهم بمهاجمة معسكراً أعزلاً من كل أنواع الأسلحة باستثناء سلاح الصمود والكرامة والإيمان بالقضية. وها هي صبا تقهرهم بشهادتها وهي تلفظ أنفاسها وتقابل وجه ربها بابتسامة ولا أجمل، تصرخ: صامدون، صامدون، صامدون. فهذه الصرخة المدوية ستبقى تهب بريحها على المالك والملالي كلما هبت رياح اسم صبا. أيها الأخوة، إننا ومن على هذا المنبر ندين الأمم المتحدة التي صمت آذانها وأغلقت عيونها رغم التحذيرات التي أطلقها الدكتور العراقي المحامي محمد الشيخلي رئيس المركز الوطني للعدالة في بريطانيا بأن هنالك هجوما مبيتا على أشرف ولم تحرك ساكنا. فيا بالنسبة لنا الشعوب العربية ليس مستغربا علينا، فتجربتنا معها مريرة منذ احتلال أرض فلسطين وقتل وتهجير الآلاف من الشعب الفلسطيني، ومنذ تجيش جيوش نصف الكرة الأرضية من أجل احتلال العراق وتنصيب المرتزقة حكاما على عراق المجد والعروبة. ومن هنا نطالب الأمم المتحدة ومن قوات الاحتلال الأمريكية أن يحموا أشرف موجب الاتفاقيات الدولية وموجب العهود الإنسانية. أيها الأخوة، إن رياح التغيير قادمة، ولن تبقى الشعوب ذليلة لحكام يمارسون السلطة تحكمهم عقلية القتش والبطش، والشواهد كثيرة والنصر قريبا بإرادة الشعوب التي تهزم ولا تقهر. الشعب يريد إسقاط النظام، الشعب يريد إسقاط النظام. الشعب يريد إسقاط النظام. أيها الأخوة، لقد وقفت الشعوب العربية وفي مقدمتهم الأكثرية من ممثليهم من نواب الشعب ضد هيمنة الملالي رغم تحذيرات حكومة المالكي والملالي، ورغم طلبهم من حكوماتنا بالإيعاز بعدم المشاركة، إلا أننا جئنا نصرة لكم واحتراما لشهداء أشرف، ابتداء من الحبيبة نداء، والتي أصبحت رمزاً لانتفاضة أبناء الشعب الإيراني ورمزاً لكل طالبي الحرية من الشعوب المقهورة، ومروراً بالحبيبة صبا، والتي معناها في اللغة العربية ريح الشرق. ولكل من سالت قطرة دم زكية دفاعاً عن المبدأ والحق والعدالة والكرامة، جئنا مناصرين للحق نضع أيدينا بأيدي سيدة الشرق وعنوان فخاره السيدة مريم رجوي ورفاقها الكرام، ومعكم أيها الأخوة لنصرة الحق ورفع كل أشكال الظلم والرعب عن سكان أشرف من قبل حكومة المالكي ومن يأتمرون بأمرهم من المنالي. ونعلمكم ومعكم نعلن موقفنا المناصر لهم، والمطالب من كل أحرار العالم أن يهتفوا معنا. إذا الشعب يوما أراد الحياة فلا بد أن يستجيب القدر، فإما حياة تسر الصديقة وإما مماتا يغيظ العدا. ولنهتف لحياة سكان أشرف والموت لأعداء الحياة من زمرة الملالي وأنصارهم الملالي الظالمون. عاشت أشرف، عاشت أشرف، عاشت أشرف، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Madame la Présidente, Mesdames, Messieurs, c'est la première fois que j'ai à parler devant une telle salle, une salle avec autant de monde, autant d'émotions, autant de... C'est plus que de l'émotion, c'est autant de désir d'en sortir, autant de désir de trouver une solution. Et je suis très impressionnée d'être ici cet après-midi avec vous. Pour ma part, en tant que fondatrice du Women's Forum for the Economy and Society, je vais tenter d'obtenir de femmes en France et dans le monde une signature d'une pétition concernant Ashraf. Nous devons alerter les autorités compétentes internationales et françaises contre l'occupation du camp d'Ashraf en Irak. Nous condamnons vigoureusement l'attaque meurtrière des forces irakiennes lancée le 8 avril 2011 contre les opposants iraniens installés dans ce camp, faisant 35 morts et 345 blessés. Parmi les morts, 8 jeunes femmes, dont 2 âgées de 20 et 22 ans. Madame Navi Pillay, le haut-commissaire de l'ONU aux droits de l'homme, a estimé qu'aucune excuse ne peut justifier un nombre aussi élevé de morts. Membres de l'organisation des Moudjahidines du peuple d'Iran, les résidents d'Ashraf luttent contre le régime fondamentaliste au pouvoir en Iran et pour un Iran démocratique et laïque. Parmi ses opposants, un millier de femmes qui ont fait le choix courageux de la résistance contre la dictature religieuse pour défendre l'égalité des femmes dans tous les échelons sociaux, politiques et économiques. Ashraf est ainsi devenu un foyer d'espoir et de la résistance pour les femmes et la jeunesse iranienne dans leur combat pour la démocratie et l'égalité. D'où les tentatives de la théocratie au pouvoir en Iran pour anéantir ce camp en utilisant son influence sur le gouvernement irakien. Nous condamnons fermement la torture psychologique infligée aux résidents d'Ashraf, ainsi que les restrictions et privations diverses imposées à ces derniers, dont le libre accès aux soins médicaux, l'interdiction des visites des familles, des ONG, des délégations parlementaires et d'autres citoyens à Ashraf. Nous appelons la société civile, les ONG, les associations et organisations de femmes à une vaste campagne pour la protection des résidents d'Ashraf, notamment les 1000 femmes iraniennes qui ont fait le choix de résister à l'intégrisme islamiste. Nos demandes sont donc les suivantes. Premièrement, l'installation en toute urgence d'une équipe permanente d'observateurs onusiens à Ashraf pour assurer sa protection jusqu'à ce qu'une solution durable soit trouvée pour cette question. Deuxièmement, l'interdiction de tout déplacement des résidents d'Ashraf à l'intérieur de l'Irak, prélude à leur massacre. Troisièmement, le soutien au plan présenté par le Parlement européen qui préconise la fin de la répression des résidents d'Ashraf et leur protection comme préalable à une solution permanente. Nous appelons le gouvernement français, en particulier, à prendre l'initiative de jouer un rôle actif dans cette crise humanitaire, comme il l'a fait avec succès dans d'autres crises internationales ces derniers temps. Nous appelons aussi l'Union européenne, et plus particulièrement Madame Ashton, à prendre les mesures nécessaires pour satisfaire ces demandes. Enfin, j'appelle personnellement les femmes à soutenir les femmes du camp d'Ashraf aux côtés des hommes, car le monde ne va jamais mieux que dans l'équilibre et la complémentarité homme-femme. Le monde a besoin de femmes pour avancer. Mariam Radjavi est une d'entre elles. Bravo, Madame, pour votre travail. C'est un plaisir et un honneur de vous connaître. Je vous remercie.
Thank you. Innanzitutto vi porto il saluto e la solidarietà dell'Italia, di tutta l'Italia. Io oggi qui rappresento, insieme a una folta delegazione di parlamentari italiani, rappresentano la delegazione parlamentare italiana e gli oltre 500 parlamentari, cioè la maggioranza del Senato e della Camera italiana, alla Presidente Mariam Rajavi. La maggioranza della Camera dei Deputati e del Senato hanno chiesto al nostro governo e all'Unione Europea di riconoscere la resistenza iraniana e instaurare un dialogo ufficiale. Noi siamo testimoni di come il regime iraniano, tramite il commercio, il petrolio, il denaro, il terrorismo e perfino con il proseguimento testardo della produzione di armi nucleari, ha chiesto e ottenuto l'inserimento dei Mujahideen del popolo nella lista dei gruppi terroristici. Noi vediamo come il regime dittatoriale italiano sfrutta l'Occidente per la sua permanenza al potere. Ma questa politica è fallita da tempo. È giunta l'ora che la signora Hillary Clinton e tutta l'amministrazione americana facciano ciò che ha fatto l'Unione Europea 2 anni fa, cioè depennare il nome dei Mujahideen del popolo dalla lista nera. Il governo degli Stati Uniti deve onorare i suoi impegni di protezione nei riguardi dei residenti nel campo di Ashraf. Oltre ai documenti del Parlamento italiano ci sono ben 2 risoluzioni del Parlamento europeo nei riguardi di Ashraf, in cui si precisano i nostri compiti. Il genocidio dell'8 aprile 2011 ha evidenziato il fatto che noi non siamo stati fedeli agli impegni che abbiamo liberamente sottoscritto. Noi non dobbiamo permettere mai più il ripetersi di un crimine così atroce contro l'umanità. Noi non possiamo. Noi non permetteremo più il massacro degli inermi residenti a Ashraf. Noi chiediamo alle Nazioni Unite, con il sostegno degli Stati Uniti d'America e dell'Unione Europea, di tutelare il campo di Ashraf, che è la casa dei dissidenti iraniani da un quarto di secolo e che gli appartiene. Non basta più la semplice emissione dei comunicati o delle condanne verbali. Cedere di fronte al regime incivile al potere in Iran è davvero una vergogna per la nostra civiltà. Iraniani che credete in un Iran libero, vi diciamo, vi siamo vicini, siete nostri fratelli. Grazie a Miriam Rajavi per questa battaglia per la libertà.
Merci en tout cas à toutes celles et ceux qui sont encore là pour soutenir Ashraf. Il y a 2 ans, nous étions parmi vous, la délégation suisse. Je salue les élus de la délégation, Christian Pergaud, député à la Constituante, Marc Falquet, député au Grand Conseil, qui est aussi vice-président de la Commission des droits de l'homme du Grand Conseil de Genève, et Berthier Pergaud, qui est conseiller municipal. Je suis très heureux d'être une fois de plus parmi vous, en tant que représentant de la majorité du Parlement suisse, qui a apporté à nouveau son soutien aux résidents d'Ashraf, symbole de la résistance iranienne sous la présidence de Madame Mariam Rajaoui. Je voudrais rappeler ici, en mon nom et au nom de mes collègues, les devoirs de notre gouvernement et des institutions de défense des droits de l'homme et des réfugiés, comme le Haut Commissariat aux réfugiés qui a son siège à Genève, en Suisse, afin de garantir la protection et les droits des résidents d'Ashraf. La Suisse est dépositaire des conventions de Genève. Or, ces conventions ont été gravement violées en ce qui concerne les résidents d'Ashraf. C'est la raison pour laquelle la Cour espagnole de justice poursuit les responsables du gouvernement irakien. C'est véritablement un crime contre l'humanité qui s'est produit à Ashraf. J'espère que la haute commissaire aux droits de l'homme prendra ses responsabilités et mettra en place une équipe d'observation des Nations Unies afin d'empêcher une nouvelle attaque meurtrière contre Ashraf. Il faut que Mme Pillay ordonne une enquête indépendante, complète et transparente sur l'attaque sanglante du 8 avril. Ce massacre dont on ne perçoit l'ampleur que maintenant, selon les dires mêmes de Mme Navetemem Pillay. Juste à quelques pas de la place des Nations, à Genève, où j'habite, ont lieu le sitting en soutien à Ashraf. Se trouve aussi ce Haut Commissariat aux réfugiés dépositaire des moyens pour empêcher le massacre des résidents d'Ashraf. Ces résidents sont réfugiés en Irak depuis plus de 25 ans. Le Haut Commissariat aux réfugiés a le pouvoir, aussi bien juridiquement que politiquement, de confirmer le statut des réfugiés pour les résidents d'Ashraf et de manière collective, et ainsi neutraliser tout prétexte du gouvernement irakien pour un nouveau massacre des résidents. Nous sommes donc impatients de voir le Haut Commissariat répondre à cette obligation minimale. Mes dernières paroles seront pour Ashraf. Votre résistance nous donne de la force et du courage. C'est pour préserver notre propre humanité, notre propre démocratie et nos propres valeurs et principes que nous nous tenons à vos côtés et que nous nous battons pour vous. Dans ce combat, nous ne permettrons plus jamais qu'une autre tragédie frappe Ashraf. Je remercie et je salue les habitantes et les habitants d'Ashraf, et notamment une fille de 13 ans et sa maman qui, le 10 juin dernier, lors du sitting sous la place des Nations à Genève, j'ai pu, par conversation téléphonique en direct d'Ashraf, converser avec elle. Et en entendant cette jeune fille de 13 ans et de tout l'espoir qu'elle met dans notre soutien et votre soutien ici, eh bien nous lui devons cela pour que son avenir soit un avenir radieux, un avenir où on pourra dire « Vive Ashraf, vive la liberté, vive la démocratie ».
Thank you very much. So, thank you. So, thank you. So, since I'm the last speaker, I have to ask, are you too tired? Are you sure you have the strength? Because I want you to know something. The mullahs are still working in Tehran, and the jailers and the torturers, they're not tired, so we can't be tired. Are you with me? All right. Now, first, I want you to join me with something. Because in Camp Ashraf, the people are watching us now on video screens. And we need to speak to them for a moment. I want them to understand this message. 50 years ago, Patrick Kennedy's uncle, John Kennedy, stood in Berlin at their worst moment. And he said to the people of Berlin, "There is no prouder boast in all the world among free people than that I am a citizen of Berlin." Camp Ashraf, listen to me well. One day, in the restaurants of Tehran, on street corners, in places of worship, you will say to your countrymen, you will boast for the rest of your lives that when our people were enslaved, when we had dictators, I lived free. I lived in Camp Ashraf. That will be your boast. Men and women of Ashraf, you are the first heroes in the new revolution for democracy in Iran. You are our heroes, Camp Ashraf. Always remember it when we stand with you. Now, I'm old enough to know that in these kinds of rallies, when our opposition is a dictator, there's always one person in the room taking notes. And late tonight, when we're all home, they'll be calling Tehran with their message. So listen to me well and write down everything I'm about to tell you. Give your masters this message. You have betrayed Islam. You have betrayed the proud history of the Persian people. In the words of Ronald Reagan, you have a place on the ash heap of history. Your time is done. If you kill our fathers, you will face our sons. If you kill our mothers, you will face our daughters. This fight is inevitable. They will fail. We will win. It is only a matter of time. And so I ask you, like my Italian relatives who waited for fascism to fail, one day, I want you to remember these words. One day, you will have your grandchildren on your knee. You'll be sitting in Tehran or a small city in a free Iran, and you will turn to your grandchild and you will say, never forget, tell your children and their children that when our country was imperiled, when our freedom was lost, our family belonged to the MEK. We stood up for Iran's freedom. Never forget. And if Mrs. Rajavi can hear my words, I leave her with this thought. I saw her walk up to hundreds of people today and look them in the eye. Mrs. Rajavi, remember those faces. Remember those eyes. Because one day when you least expect it, an Iranian soldier is going to refuse to fire upon his own people. A shopkeeper is going to stand up and demand to speak free. A student is going to demand to be taught the truth. And on that day, all their guns, all their prisons, all their tortures will mean nothing when the people rise up and the dictatorship crumbles down. Mrs. Rajavi, remember our faces. Remember the looks in our eyes. Because when you get off the plane in Tehran to claim a free, democratic Iranian republic, we will be there to meet you at the airport. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Chairman. I'm David Amos, as you've heard from my friend from the United States of America. I'm a member of the British Parliament. And it is indeed an honour and privilege for me to be here with you this afternoon as one among 100,000 people at this rally. So you have proved that Iran belongs to you and not to the mullahs. And I am pleased to announce that 4,000 parliamentarians from 40 countries have declared their support for the Iranian resistance under the leadership of Mrs. Maryam Rajavi. That we have the support of 5,000 French mayors, 1,500 Italian mayors, 300 Belgian mayors. In fact, we have the support of everyone throughout the world who's got a bit of common sense. And all of these people have voiced their support for Camp Ashraf, and these statements have been endorsed by the majorities in 30 parliaments. All these parliamentarians have called for recognition of the National Council of Resistance of Iran. They've called for the protection of Camp Ashraf by the United Nations, the United States of America, and the European Union. They've asked for the prevention of any displacement of Ashraf residents inside Iraq. All that remains is for me to thank everyone who's been involved in making this the great success it has, but particularly to thank each and every one of the 100,000 people. I know many of them have drifted off, but we did have 100,000 people here this afternoon, which is truly remarkable. And let us go forth from this rally inspired by the speech of Madam Rajavi and all the other speakers in our pursuit of justice and freedom for the people of Iran. Safe journey home. Good night.